Hello, everyone. This is Mr. Obvious, bringing you the obvious. And I dab on them haters. Today, today we have this article here. Seeing Poor White People Makes Me Happy by Nicholas Powers. And yeah, they literally call it race baiter. That's their name, as in race bait. Yeah. I mean, the headline alone is enough to make you really upset, but seriously? But before we begin, I want to give a shout out to my sponsor. UnsilencedVoice.com is a brand new platform that promotes freedom of speech and diversity of thought. Signing up is super easy, and you can subscribe to feeds that meet your interests. They will pop up in your feed. It's actually pretty cool. Be sure to check it out. UnsilencedVoice.com. Let's just read this darn thing. By Nicholas Powers. Should I kick him in the face? Hard. No, chill, he's not worth it. But why is this white boy begging for money in a black neighborhood? Is he stupid? Oh man, that's a lot to unpack. Oh man, I mean, first of all, his first thought was violence when he saw a homeless man. What kind of despicable human being do you have to be to want to kick someone in the face? Okay, so 1, he's violent. 2, he's racist. How despicable do you have to be to judge someone who's homeless based on the color of their skin? And 3, the red pill at the end. I mean, he's directly implying that black neighborhoods just don't care about the homeless and don't care. They have no empathy. Is that what you're saying? Zero empathy? This guy's a piece of work. I shake the evil out of my head. He admits it's evil. At least he's honest. And go into the subway. He comes every spring. The homeless white boy flaps down like a dirty migratory bird, makes himself a nest from garbage and sleeps on the sidewalk. A sign on a shopping cart asks for money. I never give. I should though, cause he makes me feel good. And there you have it. This despicable, sick, disgusting human being gets off on seeing a homeless guy just because he's white. If this isn't an example of racism, I don't know what is. White people begging us for food feels like justice. It feels like Afrofuturism. Wakanda forever! After America falls, it feels like a black nationalist wet dream. Okay, so he's a black nationalist. Here's a little red pill for you. Did you know that black nationalism vastly outnumbers the white kind? Ah, yes. But the media doesn't care. It has the feels I rarely feel. A hunger for historical vengeance satisfied so well I rub my belly. See, so he's a violent person. He's despicable. And he wants violence. He wants a revolution. This is literally someone on the extreme left. I know it's not a good look. Again, it's like your conscience is trying to tell you something, but you ignore it. At least I think I know. I have the ghost of Martin Luther King Jr. in my head, like a life coach, exhorting me to be my best self. Show compassion to those who spite you. Turn the other cheek, and don't give our enemies more reasons to hate us. Well, you failed on all those accounts. I need to kick Martin Luther King Jr. out of my head. Go F another secretary, Martin. I need to ask what this white homeless boy means to me. White homeless poor in the hood are a Rorschach test. I see them in the history of colonization, job opportunities, and mass incarceration. That makes their begging black people for money ironic, if not insulting. First of all, colonization is literally the best thing that ever happened to almost every single nation that was colonized. They gave them technology, they gave them progress, they taught them to not be, to not eat each other, to not do crazy things, to have some laws and order. Colonization improved almost everywhere it went. It was an improvement. And this is a perfect example of this is Africa and the British colonization. So Brits came in, they gave them civilization, they put them to work, they made a functioning society. And then they left. In a lot of cases, kicked out. Now those same places that used to have some semblance of order are now absolutely poverty-stricken, uncivilized places. I mean, it's a mess. Africa's a mess. You have plenty of examples of this, so I really hate that narrative of, oh, we don't need you. Now we're Zimbabwe. Oh, help us. We need help. Well, you were getting help, but you told them to leave, and in some cases resorted to violence. You wasted your whiteness. Why should we give to you? Others see the same history, but for them, he has a chance to be MLK's dream. Here is a descendant of murderers who killed our ancestors, now begging us to save their life. What about all of your ancestors that killed his? What about all the people who have committed crimes and killed people? It's so stupid. So let's turn the other cheek, but it's not always honest. It is a trick of the internalized racism that black anger is transformed into showy altruism to show the white gays that we're safe, good African Americans, so we aren't attacked by more powerful whites, instead rewarded by them. Oh, more powerful. So are you, do you have the opinion that they're better than you? What? Do you see the delusion and the stupidity here? I saw an older Caribbean woman, devoutly Christian, place a container of jerk chicken at his feet. Holy light radiated from her. It was a public lesson to us all, that we shouldn't let our racism poison our souls with hate. God bless you, she intoned loudly, as if performing Shakespeare in the park. Yet I saw the same name Jesus freak walk by a legless brother, pushing his wheelchair through traffic, asking for change, and she did not even bat an eyelash. He wasn't worthy. But the white boy is. She saw her best self reflected in his whiteness. She saw her beautiful white soul doing white's God work on the mirror of white flesh. Okay, you know what? You have absolutely no proof of that. That's just your assumption. It's confirmation bias. Sometimes folks see the same history and want to get even. I saw 3 brothers run up and spit on him as people cackled at the white boy, who wiped sticky globs from his eyelids. The laughter was cruel, joyful, and belly deep. They might as well shook. Learn how to frickin' write properly. Chains in his face and said, "Now you got to wear these." So the black people in the neighborhood spit on a homeless man. They laughed at him. You know that part where Martin Luther King said, "Don't do things that will make them hate you more? Don't give them a reason to hate you more?" You know, that was I think that was really good advice. All of these thoughts crashed in my head as I got on the subway. Help, a cracked plea jabbed at the quiet. Help me get something to eat. A legless New Yorkan pushed his wheelchair between train riders studying their cell phones. Jesus, I thought. Did all the homeless get their legs cut off? Help me, he asked, and no one answered. I saw in his face the African, native, and European bloodline spilled by war and struggle snuggling. Just like mine. Help me get food, he asked. The next writer and the next. I've known New Yorkians like him my whole life, homeless or shooting up heroin in doorways, and like an x-ray, saw the history of violence and oppression that created their destruction. I just barely dodged it myself because of the fraught class privilege. You know what the best part of his stories are? He judged the white lady for not giving change to the homeless guy in a wheelchair, but he didn't give the guy money either. Typical. I hear help and I see the New Yorkian in the wheelchair, or the endless parade. I don't know if that's what he's saying. This is in English. Or the endless parade of black men or women holding out crusted hands for pennies. I smell their death. I hear their voices scraped on sidewalks. In long nights in the cold, I see their scabbed skin or gaunt, thin lips or yellow, liquored eyes. I retreat inside myself, waiting until they pass like an image rounding the surface of a soap bubble. This guy is literally just using comparison in his arguments. Like, this is like that, this is like that, that looks like that. It's not a single metaphor. I don't know why. Maybe that's just his style. But when a white person begs, maybe a white woman breastfeeding a young white boy whining like a broken flute, I feel better. Good. It's not just us. I feel happy. I feel like the scales of justice could shift. You're despicable. You're a sick, sad, degenerate human being. The other day, I jogged up the subway stairs and saw the homeless white boy again. Can you get me something to eat? He barked out to the river of people passing by. Someone stole my shit. Scabs covered his mouth. He was sunburnt and thin. I ignored him but thought, baby, you stole all mine. You know, I think I can agree with this person on one thing. Slavery is a mistake. If I could go back in time, I would make sure that America never, ever, 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 ever set foot in Africa or brought anyone back. I would right that wrong. I glanced at his blanket, shopping carts, and books. Who is he? Why is he here? Where are his people? That's my point, dude. God. Everyone's a person. White people can be poor. Black people can be poor. They're all people. They're innocent. The sins of the father are not the sins of the son. I stopped myself. It's the Martin Luther King Jr. life coach again saying, love your enemies. Get to know them as people. No, Dr. King. Today I own my anger. Just like every other day. I want to snatch his food and say, go beg in a white neighborhood and eat it, and rub my belly and laugh. I smile. The cruelty cures my internalized racism that forces me to empathize with having empathy. I can't stand this human being. so I can be patted on the head like a good, peaceful protester. All my white editors want me to write that way. All the white institutions that pay me want me to feel that way. No one should be paying you. You're a sick little person. But I don't. And saying I don't is freeing. It pulls the unconscious whiteness out of my brain. Also, being a decent human being is being white. Thanks for the clarification. What a horrible thing to think. Like, what is wrong with you? Did your mom drop you on a head as a baby? Was your father cruel to you? I think we all know the answer to that. A deeply damaged human being. I don't need to see my best or worst self reflected on his skin. As I walk away, a white man in tailored clothes and exfoliated skin talks to the homeless white boy. His face is a mix of fear and disgust. Race, loyalty, and pity? He's doing what I did, confronting history. How do I know? The fear in his tight mouth is disgust. The fear in his eyes is forced and unwanted racial empathy. He's worried, like many whites are, that they become the minority. Fewer and fewer places will exist where they have power. So yeah, he literally wants white people to be a minority and to be oppressed and to be homeless and to be dead. What a sick person. They worry that at some point the roles will be reversed. That'll never happen. And they will have to beg for food. He looked at the homeless white boy and saw a hungry ghost, seemingly expelled from some alternative dimension where Europeans are enslaved, segregated, and mass incarcerated. Dude, no one would be incarcerated if they just didn't break the law. You understand that, right? The law applies to everyone equally. He sees the fall of America. Neither of us asked the kid's name. We don't need to. His name is Inkblot. His name is Rorschach. It's whatever we see in the dark shapes that sleep on the street or pass by us on the train that occasionally reaches out to us and says, help. So, yeah, this is obviously a despicable human being. Nicholas Powers is a poet, associate professor of literature, and a journalist. His book, The Ground Below Zero, 9/11 to Burning Man, New Orleans, to Darfur, Haiti, to Occupy Wall Street, was published by Upset Press. His writings appear in Truthout, HuffPost, Raw Story, and The Independent. This is a very, very sick human being. And they have a Patreon. I don't know how they have a Patreon since they're pushing this racist ideology here. They have more patrons than me. Yeah, so this is extreme content. This is an extreme person. They're not banned. I mean, here, look at their Twitter page. Race baiter. At Race Baiter. Race baiting with a deck full of race cards. A publication that doesn't give a F about your opinions if you're not for black liberation. Woman shrugging. Sick human being. Sick human being. This whole organization or whatever is toxic. It's disgusting. It disgusts me. I really have no idea how they're allowed on Patreon by pushing this hateful rhetoric. I mean, this is literally one of the worst things I've ever read in my entire life. This is sickening. Absolutely sickening. But that's merely the obvious. I don't really feel like doing an outro. Just let me know what you think about this content. You can support me on Patreon, but I'm just disgusted. And right now, I just have no faith in humanity. I'm done. I think I'm done with this video. I'll see you guys next time.